What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Tune in to Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD, and join the conversation about how to heal our broken system to reverse our current health crisis. The entire world is looking for answers, and the truth is hidden in plain sight. Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, when you can call in and ask the questions that matter most to you.
We're live.
And good morning. Thank you, Rachel. Welcome to Awakened Wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and we are going on an eye-opening, mind-expanding adventure into disease prevention and wellness. We are live every first and third Wednesday of every month at 12 noon, and you can watch our pre-recorded shows at midnight if you're a night owl, and on the alternating weeks on Wednesdays. So today's topic is the alkaline diet. And what we're going to discuss today is, how do you know if it's for you, and how does one go about doing an alkaline diet or being on an alkaline diet, and what does it look like? And so we're here live today, so we'd love to hear from you. Our number here is area code 646-558-8656. Our meeting ID is 883-695-3587. And to raise your hand, just hit *9, and we would love to hear from you. I got my phone ready, and Rachel is going to let me know when we have some questions. And so we love your comments, we love your questions. We've gotten some amazing questions on the show, and so keep them coming, please. So the alkaline diet, what is it? And, diets are very popular and very confusing, and people are always asking me, what diet should I be on? How do I know if this diet is good or that diet? Or they might come in and say, I tried this diet and it didn't work, but it worked really well for my friend. I don't understand what's going on, right? And my answer to that is always, well, it depends, right? Because just because you read that a diet is good in general doesn't mean it suits you, because you are a unique individual. And not only are you a unique individual, but you're always changing. And so a diet that suits you, today may not be the same diet you need next year. And so it becomes a little bit confusing because there's so much out there, right? You hear about the keto diet, the alkaline diet, the vegan diet, the vegetarian diet, the Mediterranean diet. And it just goes on. And, they're all touted to be good, but they don't work for everyone, clearly. And they all have their good and bad aspects. Everything is a double-edged sword. That's what I tell people. Everything. Estrogen in your body is a double-edged sword. Iron in your body is a double-edged sword. Everything's a double-edged sword, because the point of it all is to be balanced. So if you have too much of something, that's not good. If you have too little of something, that's not good. If you have, for example, too little vitamin C, you're going to have problems, right? You're going to have skin problems, immune system problems. You're not going to be able to detox properly. You're not going to make proper energy. And also, if you have too much vitamin C, you can form kidney stones and have problems from that. So everything is really about balance. And so when we talk about a diet, we have to also consider, well, what is proper balance? And so the words alkaline diet bring to mind eating foods that are alkaline in nature. And so what does that mean? Your body is very tightly regulated on the inside of itself, and is always responding to the environmental input that it's getting. And so your body is bombarded by like 15 million bits of data by the second. And it has to sit there and calculate and figure things out, right? So it's always regulating your body temperature, it's regulating your metabolism, it's helping you to see and adjust. And so what fuels that is your diet, right? What you eat. And so one of the things your body does to very, very exact detail is to balance acids and bases. So in other words, acids and alkaline components of your diet as they come in. And so if you look at the structure of your body, if you look at your skin, if you look at your organs, your tissues, your muscles, your bones, they are made out of acids. And to say that I'm just going to go on an alkaline diet and eliminate acid from my diet is a misnomer. It's not even possible because you would start to disintegrate if you eliminated all acids from your diet. And so proteins are made of acids, right? The building blocks of proteins are amino acids. Fats are acids. Their building blocks are fatty acids. Even our DNA, right? The A in DNA stands for acid. So it's deoxyribonucleic acid. That's what DNA stands for. And so the building blocks of your DNA and your genes are actually acids. And so there's always some confusion when I ask a client to go on an alkaline diet. And we have to explain, like, no, you're not going to eliminate all acids from your diet. What you're going to do is eliminate the bad acids, right? So amino acids are good, fatty acids are good. Obviously, deoxyribonucleic acids are good. And so we don't want to eliminate them from our diet, but there are, quote unquote, bad acids that we want to look out for. The one that most people know about is lactic acid. And that's the buildup of metabolic processes that have to occur without the use of oxygen. And again, oxygen is critical for us all. We know that. And inside of our cells, the oxygen is utilized to make energy. And when we have oxygen available to the cells, they make a lot more energy, 18 times more energy than if they don't have oxygen available to them. And if they have oxygen available to them, they make energy, and then the byproduct, so that the metabolic waste, so to speak, is going to be carbon dioxide and water if there's oxygen available. Carbon dioxide, we breathe back out through our lungs, so we can get rid of that waste product easily. And water, 99% of our molecules in the body are water. And so when we recycle our water, that's a good thing. Now, if the body cannot use oxygen, then it will make a very small amount of energy and will give you the waste product of lactic acid and alcohol. And lactic acid has to be neutralized in your body and then eliminated either through your breathing, through your sweat, through your urine. And alcohol similarly has to be eliminated from the body. Otherwise, it accumulates and it causes what's called oxidative damage. Or stress damage. And so when you have lactic acid buildup, that's not good. Now there's a difference between, well, I built up lactic acid running sprints and playing basketball, for example, and my muscles started to burn and I had to stop. That's acute lactic acid buildup. So that's lactic acid buildup in response to an acute activity that you did for a short period of time and then you stopped. And then your body has buffers in place where it can go in and negate all of that and get rid of the lactic acid. So your muscles will burn, it'll make you stop, and then they'll stop burning eventually, right? And then you can start again. So that type of lactic acid is really easy to get rid of. The type of lactic acid I'm talking about is the lactic acid that accumulates on a chronic basis, that you don't feel the burn, you don't feel any acute symptoms from, but the insides of your cells are accumulating lactic acid, which is very toxic. And this is a mechanism of disease causation. So that's the type of acid that we're talking about, that the alkaline diet is designed to help the body get rid of. So the question is, how do we build up all this lactic acid? Like what creates that type of acidic environment? And of course, stress will be at the top of that list, right? Again, when you have a supply-demand mismatch, your body will not have enough oxygen and vitamins and minerals to make adequate amounts of energy. It's going to have to default to making energy without oxygen, and you're going to get this lactic acid and alcohol buildup. It's being increasingly related to as a cause of cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, heart attacks. So lactic acid on a chronic level is not something that you want to have. So the alkaline diet will combat that, and we'll talk about how to do that. I think we had a question come in. Take a look here. Okay, I read that because of my blood type, I'm encouraged to eat vegan with some fish. How can I incorporate alkaline diet? Oh, perfect. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. The blood type tells you about your genetic predispositions, right? People with certain blood types are, kind of genetically programmed, so to speak, in a certain way. So there are predispositions. So I'm AB positive, I think, if I remember correctly. So I'm one of the lucky human beings on the planet that can eat meat. So it's kind of a new blood type that's evolved, so to speak, for eating meat. And then there's some blood types that, it's recommended they don't eat meat. Now, again, that's just a genetic predisposition. So the problem with the blood type is it doesn't tell you like what's happening now. It just tells you what you were predisposed to on a genetic basis. But it's not a bad place to start, right? So if you have a blood type where you're told that you need to eat vegan and mostly fish, most vegetables and fruits are alkaline. And so when you are having a vegan or vegetarian diet, you are already eating a ton of alkaline food. And certain vegetables are more alkaline than others. Cucumbers being more alkaline. Lettuce is very alkaline. Generally, things that have a really high water content will be very alkaline. Spinach, kale, collards, celery, those will be very alkaline. And so you're already incorporating an alkaline diet there. Red meat is acidic. Most protein, even fish, is acidic, but you'll see that there are grades of acidity. Red and gamey meats like venison and bison, elk are highly acidic as opposed to fish, which are less acidic. Pork is actually agreed to be, there's some agreement that it's alkaline or a little bit more alkaline than other sources of protein. Legumes are kind of neutral. They're not very acidic nor very alkaline. And grains tend to be acidic. And so you can't eliminate all acid from your diet because, again, remember, the whole structure of your body is made of acids. And so you don't want to eliminate acids. You just want to eliminate the quote unquote bad acids, right? So I hope that answers your question. So it looks like if you are following that dietary advice, you are already incorporating an alkaline diet. So very good. So your body has, again, very specific mechanisms to make sure that the places that need to be acidic are acidic, the places that need to be alkaline are alkaline. For example, your stomach is very acidic, right? It produces hydrochloric acid. The purpose of hydrochloric acid is to help you digest your food. So if you eliminate all acid from your diet, you will damage your stomach. And so you don't want to do that because then you'll damage your digestion, and what you thought was a good thing turns into a bad thing, right? And so again, everything is about balance. The other environment for women, this applies to women, the vagina is a very acidic environment. And when it loses that balance, you're prone to infection. Same thing with the stomach. If it loses its balance, so when people take antacids or what are called proton pump inhibitors that prevent the hydrochloric acid from being made in the stomach, people develop problems long term. So you have an increased risk of infection because now the stomach loses its acidic environment because you're blocking acid production with prescription drugs. The other thing too is drinking a lot of bicarbonate drinks will reduce the acid in the stomach, which will cause digestion issues and which will make you more prone to infections, and also alkaline water. So if you overutilize alkaline water and you're constantly pouring things in that are overtly alkaline, you're going to reduce the normal acid in the stomach and cause infection. So a lot of people will then ask me, but I have heartburn, right? So I'm making too much acid in my stomach, so I need to block that. And the answer is no, you're not making too much acid in your stomach. But what's happening is typically people that have heartburn, about 80% of them will have an infection in the small intestine or even in the stomach. And it's the bacteria that are creating the infection that are releasing acids and toxins into the stomach. And so you don't want to just take an antacid and mask that. You want to treat the infection so that the bacteria that are causing the acid buildup are not there. You don't want to damage your stomach by preventing it from doing its job, because what's going to happen is you're going to actually make the infection worse, and you're going to have malabsorption, and you're going to have a bunch of vitamin deficiencies. So you have to know, like, what's the cause of the acidity, and treat the cause of the acidity. So we have this misunderstanding of heartburn. Very often it's an infection, and antacids do not treat infections. They just block acid production, and that's not a great way to treat that. I think we have another question. Drinking Cokes, it's summertime. Is it really that bad? Yes, it's really that bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat that one. No pun intended, right? So yeah, no, Coca-Cola's just horrible. I don't know how else to answer that question. If you like that kind of fizzy drink, kombucha might be a decent alternative, right? It's fizzy. Kombucha is kind of like a wine cooler without the alcohol. Although there's a tiny bit of alcohol from the fermentation in kombucha. But that's a fizzy drink, so here's an example. I'm not promoting any particular brand, but it's just a fizzy drink, and it's very refreshing and cooling. So if you want a summertime drink, I would recommend that. Or mineral water would be another option, and you could put some lime and lemon. You could throw some, little flavors and juices in there to satisfy that, desire for a more refreshing drink. Great question. That is a really good question. Here, you talked about the need for more oxygen for energy. Are there tricks to get more oxygen into my system? I remember many years back, there were oxygen bars to get an extra boost, or was it a dream? No, you're right. That does exist. Would getting an oxygen bottle help? Well, let's see. Let me think here. So ozone would be useful. And yes, if you bring more oxygen into the body, that would help. But really, this is more, it's not that you're not, it's not that there's not enough oxygen out there. Oftentimes it's that we're not breathing properly. That's number one. So the first thing I would do is learn correct breathing technique, as opposed to trying to force the oxygen in. Because when you force the oxygen in, you're only going to get some temporary relief while you're inhaling the oxygen. And oxygen is not safe to just take. So, when someone is hospitalized or having an acute asthma attack or something like that, where their saturation levels of their oxygen drops, and yes, we give them oxygen. But you don't want to do that long term because you will create what's called, again, oxidative stress damage. So what you want to do is really first learn how to breathe properly, right? So heart math is a really quick and dirty way to learn how to breathe properly, just to get started. So that's what I would recommend, as opposed to, going to an oxygen bar or getting ozone or anything like that, is to learn how to breathe properly. And that will not only get more oxygen into the body, it will also help your cells to drive the oxygen in. So if all you're doing is taking oxygen from the outside, but you're not breathing properly, you're not going to get the physiological responses on a cellular level that allow the oxygen to enter the cell. And that's really where the metal, meets the road, where the rubber meets the road, is getting the oxygen in the cell. And proper breathing will help you do that more than oxygen or any other, external factor. So that's what I would recommend, is just heart math breathing. Let's see. Can I make my own alkaline water? Yes, you can. So citrus fruits are a great way to alkalinize your water. So you can put lime, lemon, orange, grapefruit to alkalinize your water. But again, store-bought alkaline water. So when you go and you buy alkaline water off the shelf and it says, pH 9.0 or whatever it says, you want to be a little careful with that alkaline water, because if you drink that excessively, again, you're going to damage the stomach. And so what's neat about citrus fruits, and this always confused me in Chinese medicine until I read the science behind it, they say that citrus and tropical fruits are yin in their quality, and that would be the equivalent of alkaline to us. And that always confused me, because it's ascorbic acid, right? Vitamin C is an acid. It is not alkaline. But what I learned after studying functional medicine and looking at the science is it goes in as an acid, but it gets metabolized into an alkaline substance, which is really ingenious of nature to do that. Right? So nature knew, wait, it has to be acidic so it doesn't damage the stomach. And then once it gets absorbed, it becomes alkaline. So citrus fruits are nature's ingenious way of giving us alkaline foods without damaging the stomach. So that would be the best way, is to put lime and lemon and citrus fruits in your water in order to alkalinize them, so that you don't damage the stomach. And then again, people will say, well, I have heartburn, and so I can't do that. And the answer to that is, you don't have heartburn because your stomach is making too much acid. You have heartburn because there's likely an infection in the stomach or the small intestine. So that's something where, as we talked about in our last podcast, you'd want to go get a breath test to know if you have a small bowel infection, and then have that infection treated separately, so that the infection is not causing the acidity that's causing you difficulty when you try and consume citrus fruits. So that's another wonderful question. And yes, you can absolutely alkalinize your water. Putting cucumbers in your water will also alkalinize it, but cucumbers are not acidic on the outside, so you don't want to overutilize that either. In terms of drinking a ton of cucumber water, you'd be better off making it alkaline through the use of citrus fruits. So I hope that helps. Great question. I've seen some salt rooms, yes. One opened up near my place before the pandemic hit. I went to it once. I was hesitant to believe it was actually a true salt room, as it was just an open room with some salt rocks here and there. I was wondering if having salt rocks in my home would help overall. Probably.
Can we come back after break? We went past break, I'm
oh,
sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's take a break, and as soon as we're back, we'll address that question. Thank you.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, when you can call in and ask Dr. Mylaine the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Mylaine is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit RIOBE-integrativemedicine.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
Join Dr. Bernie Siegel on Mind Health Matters every Thursday and Friday, 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Bernie will draw from his inspirational personal journey, offering us special nuggets of his sacred wisdom weaved through his delightful stories. Listen in as Bernie reminds us to be fully engaged in life.
Ever wonder what it's like to have your own radio show? Well, wonder no longer, because you can dip into the radio airwaves by being host for the day on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. It's a fabulous way to get your radio feet wet. It's an opportunity to market your business, modality, or book. Have a guest, mention a sponsor, and take callers. Or you may want to facilitate a lesson by going solo. It's up to you. Listeners can be online, mobile, in cars with Bluetooth, or listen through Amazon's Echo by asking, Alexa, play Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. For more details, go to dreamvision7radio.com and click on Host for the Day.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Sit and read in the garden, explore the woodland trails, or try a daily yoga or meditation class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
We're back.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, so let me summarize the last question. It was about salt rocks. Would having them in the home help overall? Yes, I don't know of a lot of, studies that I could quote about salt rocks in particular, but, from an energy-based perspective, they are very helpful in raising vibration, eliminating, dense energy and things like that. So never hurts to have salt rocks in the home for sure. We know a lot about crystals from an energy-based perspective. They're not as well studied from a, conventional science perspective, but we know crystals are extremely important for the maintenance of health, and on the inside of us, we have minerals, right? Calcium, magnesium, potassium, salt, sodium, chloride. So there are tons and tons of minerals in the body. So Himalayan sea salts have about, depending on the brand and where they're mined, 40 plus different trace minerals in Himalayan sea salt. And so I often recommend to clients to just incorporate that into the diet so that you can mineralize yourself. What happens with water is when we use filters, such as reverse osmosis and other types of filtration systems that are out there, what they're trying to do is to remove any potentially dangerous bacteria, microbes, and also heavy metals like lead and mercury and things like that, arsenic, from our water sources. Unfortunately, one of the byproducts is they also remove the trace minerals from our water. And so that leaves our water demineralized, which is not safe. And then we become demineralized if we're hydrating ourselves with non-mineralized water. And so we have to remineralize ourselves and our water sources. And so it's really important to put sea salt, things that are high mineral content back into our water. And I know that there are some more progressive water filtration systems that make the water flow through rocks and things like that. So nature's way of mineralizing things is to have the water go through soil, go through rocks, and that mineralizes it. But by the time it comes through our plumbing and we filter it, all those good minerals are removed. So Himalayan sea salts on your food, Himalayan sea salt even in the water, is extremely important to keep yourself remineralized. And those minerals are extremely important to alkalinize the inside of your cells. And so that's really, really important. Let's see, is where salt comes from that important? Yeah, regular iodine salt is not quite as good. So it's sodium chloride, and it doesn't have the same, like when we talk about table salt and sodium chloride, yes, it's cheaper, but you get what you pay for, right? And so it's sodium chloride, which is not as healthy. It doesn't have the same health benefits as a sea salt would. There aren't that many studies head-to-head comparing table salt to sea salt, but the few that are out there suggest that the sea salt is superior because it not only contains just sodium chloride, it has 40 other minerals, which your table salt simply does not have. Table salt is iodized, but again, it's not as rich as a Himalayan sea salt, for example. So I would always recommend a Himalayan sea salt. The other thing about Himalayan sea salt is in the few studies that have been done, it does not raise blood pressure like table salt would or might. So great question. What's the next one? Many are promoting skin contact minerals and vitamins. Would soaking in an alkaline bath be helpful? And what would be better, cucumbers or Epsom salts? Another good question. So you could put Himalayan sea salt in your bath water, right? That would be the more expensive way to go, but that would be a good way to go. So Epsom salts are usually magnesium salts. And magnesium is an alkaline, helps promote an alkaline environment. So if you want to soak your musculoskeletal system in a bath, you can do that. So it'll go through your skin, it'll get into the muscles, it'll relieve muscle tension. So that's why Epsom salts are touted to be so good for musculoskeletal aches and pains. So of course, again, Himalayan sea salt would be better, but obviously much more expensive than Epsom salts. Epsom salts is just magnesium. Himalayan sea salt, again, is 40 some odd different minerals. So the answer is always going to be a Himalayan sea salt is better than whatever other product you're asking about, whether it's table salt, Epsom salts, only because those only have one or two ingredients, whereas the Himalayan sea salt is so broad, you almost can't beat it for anything, right, in terms of remineralizing yourself. So another wonderful question. Thank you for that. So, all right, wonderful. And so let's see, where are we? Yeah, so why is an alkaline diet so important, right? And why is there so much controversy about it? So you'll see in some scientific arenas, they'll say, oh, that's nonsense. It doesn't alter the blood pH. Well, let's remember that blood doesn't get altered much for anything, right? And so again, the blood gives you a falsely normalized environment because your body knows just how important it is to keep your blood normal. And so, you won't see a lot of fluctuations in the blood, acid-base balance. We call that the pH. You won't see much fluctuation in the bloodstream. We're talking about inside your cells. We're talking about just outside your cells. So the environment where the cell sits. So of course, there's an environment inside the cell where metabolic functions take place. Your genes are protected there, et cetera. And then there's the environment outside the cell. And then there's the blood environment, right? So everything goes through the bloodstream and then into smaller and smaller divisions of the bloodstream until they get to what are called the capillaries, which are the smallest of blood vessels. And then that's where the cellular environment is. And so we're not talking about, drawing blood from an artery and finding out what your pH is. That's always going to be normal unless you're super sick. So the blood pH is always maintained at 7.35 to 7.45. You have to be extremely sick to see a variation from that normal range. So in other words, you have to be having what's called diabetic ketoacidosis, where you're practically going unconscious from poor blood sugar metabolism. You would have to be in sepsis or have severe lung diseases in order to see a drop in blood pH. So we're not talking about blood pH. We're talking about intracellular and just outside of the cellular environment. That's where alkaline diets take effect. And so if you're not measuring in the right places, you won't think alkaline diets are useful. And so there are some studies internationally that have been done where they can measure intracellular pH, extracellular pH, and they are showing that alkaline diets do impact those environments. And that's the environment that matters, right? Yes, of course, your bloodstream matters. It's very important, but it's the least likely to get impacted. The places that are more susceptible are the cells. And the spaces immediately outside of your cells. So we know that cancer thrives in an acidic environment because an acidic environment is pockets of cells, tissues inside your body that didn't get enough oxygen. And so they were producing lactic acid and they were producing alcohol and making very little energy. And that's fertile ground for cancer to take place. Why? Because now those cells are damaged, right? They're accumulating this acidity inside of themselves. And remember, your genes are protected inside your cells. And so if the environment inside your cell is broken, now you're not going to have the level of protection of that genetic code that you need to have. And so mistakes can be made in duplicating those genes. And that's where cancer cells can form. And so you won't see that in blood, right? You won't see your blood pH dropping, but the inside of your cells, the pH there will be dropping. There's not a great way, there's no real test out there to measure lactic acid buildup inside your cells. So it becomes difficult, but that's where Chinese medicine comes in, right? When we do your tongue and pulse, or what's called the 4 examinations, we can see if your body is predominantly acidic or predominantly alkaline, and we can have a sense of where that may be occurring. And so in Chinese medicine, we can break things down into, toxic heat in the liver, or, heart fire, or, so there are ways that we can diagnose where the fire and heat is. And in Chinese medicine, toxic fire, toxic heat is what we would equate to, like a lactic acid buildup in our regular medical model. So we can kind of target like where the acidity pockets are using traditional Chinese medicine and treat that with acupuncture and herbs and diet. In our conventional model, we don't have the testing. It's just not available. It can be done under experimental conditions, but it's not commercially available for us to know if we're building up lactic acid in the cells where it matters. And so the controversy is always, well, alkaline diets don't work because they don't alter the blood pH. But we do know that they alter the cellular pH, right? Cancer cannot really thrive in an alkaline environment. So what cancer cells do that are smart is they increase their pores and they let out the lactic acid. Our normal cells can't do that. The lactic acid just builds up and they just get damaged. And so that's how cancer gets a stronghold in the body, is it has all these evolutionary mechanisms that it can employ that our normal cells can't. So when we want to combat or prevent cancer, we have to induce an alkaline environment in the cells. And that's where the alkaline diet helps. So what is an alkaline diet? And so there are certain foods that we know are more alkaline than others. There are certain foods we know are more acidic than others. So obviously processed fruits, right? So people want to have canned fruits, that's acidic because of all the junk that was added to the fruit. So if you're going to want to alkalinize yourself using some fruits, citrus fruits would be the best, and tropical fruits would be the second best. So tropical fruits are things like pineapples, mangoes are highly alkaline, bananas are alkaline, and then also apples, they're not tropical or citrus, but apples are alkaline, pears, just want to make sure I don't miss anything, raisins, grapes, and of course, lemons and limes. Dates are actually alkaline, figs. Oranges are a little less alkaline, but still alkaline. Peaches and pomegranate. And let's see. For vegetables, garlic, onions, spinach, kale, olives, highly alkaline, green beans, okra, turnips, and then celery we mentioned before, pumpkin, cucumber, is alkaline, tomatoes. I know we often think tomatoes are acidic, but they're metabolized in a different way. Mushrooms, cabbage, and green peas. And then when we talk about dairy products, different types of milks. So ice cream is highly acidic. Cow's milk, processed cow's milk, highly acidic. Cheeses are acidic. Store-bought eggs are typically acidic. Yogurt, slightly acidic. Butter, raw milk, slightly acidic. And then goat's milk. Goat's milk is actually alkaline. Not very alkaline, but it crossed over into alkaline. So that would be superior to cow's milk for an alkaline diet. Grains are generally acidic. So no matter what you're eating, for the most part, in terms of grains, they're going to be mostly acidic. So rice, oatmeal it's arguable that it's slightly alkaline, although there's some debate about that, but oatmeal is somewhat alkaline. But mostly grains will be on the acidic side. Let's see, olive oil. Olive oil is very alkaline, highly alkaline. Sunflower, sesame oils are on the acidic side. Whole wheat, that's a grain, so that's going to be on the acidic side. I think I covered them all. Spring water is alkaline. And green tea is alkaline. That's another one. I'm just looking at a list because I didn't want to miss anything important that I wanted to share. Honey is alkaline, as long as it's not processed. So raw honey. Just about everything else is acidic. And for me, nature makes most foods acidic for a reason, right? So we have to go back and ask, like, why is nature doing this? And nature's never wrong, right? It's only how we alter nature that might make it appear wrong. But most foods in their natural environments are acidic because we are acidic. Our structure is acidic. And so we don't want to eliminate acidic food, and you can't. It's impossible to do. But processed foods are going to be highly acidic. So while fruits are considered alkaline, if they're processed, they become acidic, right? Meats. Red meats are highly acidic. And then again, when we process them, we make them even more acidic and damaging. Pesticides are acidic. So any food that you consume, so if you're consuming a vegetable that has a high pesticide residue on it, you're making it acidic. Well, you're not making it acidic, but it was rendered acidic. So you have to be very careful. So if you're going to do an alkaline diet, you want to make sure that you're getting organic fruits and vegetables. So I hope that helps. And I think we need a second break, Rachel, right? So thank you for listening. We're here on Dream Vision 7 Radio. You're listening to Awakened Wellness. I'm Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
What happens when we begin to realize that the 200-year experiment we've called the American healthcare system has failed? Learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness on Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, when you can call in and ask Dr. Mylaine the questions that matter most to you. Dr. Mylaine is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit RIOBE-integrativemedicine.com. Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you in for this dynamic, forward-thinking show.
Edesia is a U.S. nonprofit dedicated to the dream of ending childhood malnutrition for millions of children around the world through the manufacture of Plumpy Nut and other nutrient-rich, peanut-based, ready-to-use foods. Edesia has already delivered life and hope to nearly 1 million children in over 26 developing countries. To find out how you can join Edesia's dream of ending childhood malnutrition, please visit edesiaglobal.org.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe-Canovis, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Are you searching for a way to help create global change? Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's vision is to have an eclectic group of radio hosts dedicated to educating, enlightening, and helping humankind with positive messages and tools that enhance lives using different modalities and programs. If you would like to join our team and help illuminate the universe, call Deborah at 508-226-1723 or Deborah at dreamvision7radio.com. This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
We're back.
Thank you, Rachel. You're listening to Awakened Wellness. I'm Dr. Mylaine Riobe, and we're live here on Dream Vision 7 Radio, and I thank you for joining me. I am the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine here in Jupiter, Florida, and just wanted to, again, let you guys know that my book, Faith, is available. We're also working on some online workshops in order to kind of bring faith alive in your life. So we're working on some workshops for, lay people in order to incorporate what's in the book into their lives. Because, it's easy to get the information, but knowing how to weave it in from day to day can be challenging. And so the workshops are designed to help you to do that, so you can get the most out of what we're talking about. So let's see. I think we had some more questions. Will the alkaline diet help me lose weight? Probably, yes. Again, because if you're building up a lot of lactic acid in the body, your metabolism will drop because you're not able to make energy, right? The whole reason you're building up acid is because you can't make energy. And when you can't make energy, your metabolism will drop. When your metabolism drops and you're eating, your normal numbers of calories, your metabolism's dropping, but your calories are staying the same. What happens is you're burning less fuel. And so your body has to do something with that food that it can't burn. So if it can't burn the calories, it has to store them somewhere. The only way it can store energy is through fat production. And so if you can't burn the calories, you're going to put them in the closet. And so putting them in the closet is where the weight gain comes from. So if you alkalinize the body, what you're doing is you're removing the lactic acid and you're allowing the body to use more oxygen, which will then increase metabolism. So you'll be burning more calories. And so, yes, you should be able to lose weight with an alkaline diet. Also, it helps reduce inflammation. Inflammation causes weight gain because it's just water that's just sitting around that you can't move properly. So you'll see weight loss from the reduction of inflammation, and then you'll see weight loss from the burning of fat more efficiently in the body. So yeah, another good question. And then there was another one here. This one is kind of funny. Is it? Oh, will my steak-loving man be able to become more alkaline by just adding more potatoes to his meals? Unfortunately, no. Now he can add more vegetables. Potatoes are root vegetables. So this is a great question because this brings in the difference between root vegetables versus leafy vegetables, right? So root vegetables are more like grains and fruits, lots of calories. And they're not as alkaline as, say, celery or cucumber or spinach or kale. Because they don't have as much of a water content either. So potatoes have less water in them than celery, for example. And so they're not going to be alkaline in general for that reason. And especially for weight loss too. So fruits and root vegetables and grains have high caloric content, whereas leafy vegetables have a considerably lower caloric content. So spinach, kale, lettuce, celery, cucumber, those are kind of free passes. They don't count as calories per se. So for weight loss, they're more advantageous. The other important thing is whether you should cook your vegetables or eat them raw, right? That's frequently a question. So when you cook vegetables, you're making them slightly less alkaline. And when you have them raw, they're maintaining their alkalinity. And so if you're someone who has a lot of acid in your body, and a way that you can actually tell for yourself is to look at your tongue. If your tongue is red, then it's very likely you have a lot of acidity in your body. And then, more raw vegetables would be useful. So, juicing raw vegetables is highly alkaline for that reason. Not everyone tolerates that, right? And again, that has to do with the stomach. So if you have low stomach acidity, you're going to run into trouble eating a lot of raw vegetables and raw juices because you're going to make your stomach less acidic. And so you want to be careful there. So if you are one that does not tolerate raw vegetables, your stomach starts to bother you and you have symptoms, then you probably have low stomach acid. Now, again, you'd want to go get that diagnosed so you know for sure, but you might have to take, digestive enzymes that contain hydrochloric acid in order to build the stomach acid so that you can tolerate the raw vegetables. And so wanted to make sure we distinguished cooked and raw because that's often a question. So when I examine a patient, if their tongue is pale and they have a white coating, for example, they will probably not tolerate raw juices. So we usually tell them to take in their vegetables kind of in a broth, more steamed or roasted. so that they tolerate the vegetables. Again, it's not as alkaline, but they don't need as much alkaline influence because their tongue is pale. When the tongue is really red and maybe dry, that's the person that needs to juice in order to get the benefits of an alkaline diet. So great questions. So more veggies with the steak, right? And then you want to make sure, again, if you're eating red meats, and again, I have no problem with people eating red meat as long as they're not too acidic already. If you're too acidic, you really want to eliminate red meat from your diet. But if you're not too acidic, it's not dangerous. What makes it dangerous is its processing. So if you're not eating, grass-fed, grass-finished, organic beef, then you're eating food that's not healthy. So that's really important. You have to be a bit of a detective there. Yeah, is there a website or resource where I can quickly access today's show? Yeah, Dream Vision 7 Radio. If you go there, you just look up my page. And all of our archived videos are there for download. You can share with friends. So you can always come back to these podcasts again. What vegetables should I avoid that are acidic? So root vegetables are not as alkaline as leafy vegetables. So it's not that you should avoid them. There really is no vegetable to be necessarily avoided. But again, pesticides are what should be avoided, right? So again, if you have a high pesticide load on a vegetable, you're making it acidic, and so it won't be healthy. So if you want to be very alkaline, your tongue is red, you have a lot of acidity in your system, then you want raw organic vegetables. You can juice them. The advantage of juicing is you can concentrate a lot of them into a beverage, right? So that just tends to be a little easier to consume, and you get more density of the nutrients. And the other important thing is to vary your diet. So again, you're not going to eliminate every acid. So it's not that you need to do that, or it's frankly not even healthy to do that. So always remember, it's about balance. You want to avoid toxic food that's been processed, that has a heavy pesticide burden on it, and you want to have a ton of leafy vegetables, organic, some fruits. If you're trying to lose weight, I tell people, don't go too heavy on the fruits because they're very calorie dense. So you want to really stick with leafy vegetables. Those are free passes. You can eat as much of them as you wish, and they will not cause weight gain. And so, let's see. Oh, I think I had a question coming in here. Oh, all right. That's all the time we have. No more questions. So thank you for listening. As always, it's a pleasure to have you. Wonderful questions. And I wish you many, many blessings until the next time. And we'll see you next time here on Dream Vision 7 Radio. You're listening to Awakened Wellness. Thank you. Have a great day.
Join us next time on Awakened Wellness with Mylaine Riobe, MD, to learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness. Awakened Wellness airs every Wednesday at 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with live video shows every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern of each month. Meanwhile, you can join our Facebook page at facebook.com/awakenedwellness and let us know what you'd like to discuss on future episodes. Dr. Mylaine is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit riobeintegrativemedicine.com. This show is part of the Dream Vision 7 Radio Network.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. let life flow.